Alright, so I'm having a bit of a scenario where I have purchased a camera for my SBC, but I didn't realize that they were using a different connector. So this is a Google Coral camera, and at first I was trying to use a Raspberry Pi camera with my SBC, but it's based on an IMX8M, so it doesn't support the IMX219 sensor. And so, reading online the limited documentation that you could find, apparently only OV5640, 5647 sensors are supported, but the only ones you can really find are way too expensive. And in the end I settled for this Google Coral camera, but I didn't realize that it would have a 24-pin CSI connector. So the actual datasheet said that it would be using a 2-lane MIPI interface, CSI interface. So that would ideally work because all the other cameras for both these systems are meant to be using 2-lane CSI interfaces. But for whatever reason, Google in their infinite wisdom decided to add a cable which has a 4-lane interface despite the fact that 2 of the other lanes aren't even used. So yeah, I physically cannot connect it into the socket. But I think I should be able to just bodge it together if I just ignore 2 of the lanes and just have some bodge wires going from the connector to another 15-pin connector. Hopefully it'll work, but I'm not sure if it will. And I don't have any actual cables small enough to use, so I'm going to have to disembowel this motor, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's the best I have to go with right now. Yeah, the robot's over there. There'll be a video on it later, probably, I don't know. So I'm going to try and bodge this together and see if it works. It came off. So let's have a look. So I'm going to need, rather than trying to solder every single pin on this ribbon cable, I'm going to try and bodge some cables coming off of these test points as well. Hopefully that'll work. And then for the rest, for the differential data pairs, I'm going to have to try and figure out a way of soldering to some flimsy plastic, so we'll see how that goes. Well, I think I'm going to call it a day for today. I finished soldering all the connectors, or the leads rather, to the camera. I've got the twisted pairs coming out the bottom, and this should hopefully be able to then be soldered onto this ribbon cable, which will then go to the actual SBC. Hopefully this works, because if it doesn't, I've just wasted 3 hours of my time. But whether it works or not, we will see later. Anyway, since this is the first video vlog, I don't know. Since it's the first one, I guess it's probably a good idea to show the actual robot which we're working on right now. So there's going to be a bit more on this later probably. It's not based on the chassis, the official chassis, because we physically couldn't get it in our country. So we had to make one from scratch. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We've tested its actual mechanical capabilities of driving, the amount of grip and the amount of traction it has, which all seems to be pretty good. I think I'll also be doing, in the next week or so, a tutorial for building a Linux image using Yocto for the single board computer we're using, because that was an incredible pain since there's no there's very limited documentation for it and it's all outdated. So yeah, it should be good.